It was important for the British to maintain naval power of some kind on Lake Erie, and equally important for the Americans to obtain naval power on Lake Erie.
If you can control the lake, you can control the flow of supplies, you can control the logistics of the area. Both armies are operating at the end of a very tenuous supply line.
The commander in charge of the small British squadron on Lake Erie was Robert Harriet Barclay, a 27-year-old veteran who had already lost an arm in battle. His opposite number was Commander Oliver Hazard Perry of the U.S. Navy. Both men were overseeing the feverish construction of ships on Lake Erie.
Both countries have to build fleets out of local timber with imported shipwrights, imported materials. It's a competition. Who can build the biggest ships the fastest?
The coming naval battle would decide the fate of the entire Great Lakes region. On the morning of September 10, 1813, the U.S. fleet sailed toward the British. Perry on his flagship, the Lawrence, flying a flag that paid homage to Lawrence's last words. Not a word was spoken, an American seaman remembered. It seemed like the awful silence that precedes an earthquake. This was the time to try the stoutest heart.
Perry sailed into the British squadron with his flagship, the Lawrence, and just started trading broadsides with the two principal British ships on both sides.
The first cannonball tore through the Lawrence.
The biggest risk to the sailors were not direct hits by the balls themselves. The biggest damage was caused by the splinters when the cannonballs penetrated the oak hull. It sent huge splinters out that would be like flying lances. The scuppers would actually run with the blood.
Lawrence was soon reduced to a wreck. There were casualties strewn across the deck. It was customary, if your vessel was incapable of maneuvering, you would strike your colors. Perry wasn't about to do that. Miraculously, he had survived the cannonading. He had the ship's longboat brought alongside, and he jumped down into the longboat with shot whizzing around his ears. The famous painting shows him standing in the boat. He probably didn't stand in the boat.
But he certainly was under fire. The British realized what he was doing, and they tried to target him. There were cannonballs and round shot and grape shot and canister raining down, but he made it safely to the second ship, the Niagara.
He hoisted his colors in the Niagara and pressed on with the attack.
After 3 hours, the British gave up their ships, all of them. An entire squadron of the world's most powerful navy had been captured.
At the end of the battle, Perry sits down and he writes a very simple note. We have met the enemy, and they are ours. 2 ships, 2 brigs, 1 schooner, and 1 sloop. Barclay had been wounded in his other arm. And when the officers of both sides who had died were being buried ashore, it was Perry who held Barclay to his side. 2 young men. And really one of the most poignant scenes, I think, from a war that many say should never have happened, watch the burial take place. There was gallantry on both sides. There was honor on both sides.